I'd like to open with the subject of Kali, Ma Kali, because there is so much confusion, controversy associated with her, unfortunately. And in fact, recently there was you may not be aware, but there was a instance of, a public intellectual, somebody called Mr. Jordan Peterson, I think his name is, who mentioned or how he called her the goddess of the underworld or something like that, and there was a lot of furor over his tweet on Twitter. Apart from that, time and again we keep seeing a lot of loose talk, sometimes misunderstood, misled, misguided. So I think it's important that somebody like you, to use the word demystify is probably doesn't serve justice, but if you could demystify her for the layman.
I honestly didn't know this recent whatever uproar or the controversy, but I'm so used to these controversies, starting Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, and
Yes.
it's a long history. There was just like I think a missionary around 17th century, Abbe Dubois, uh, going to India and just coming back reporting how demon worshippers the Indians are. It is the same trend. It's in a new language and new color, but the ethos, the heart, the essence is the same. That Hindu culture is demonic and needs to be denigrated and cannot be compared with Christianity, the culture of the civilized people. And there is no wishy-washy going around. It's a heathenization of the other. That the other being the Hindus, the colonized people, and the force, the brutal force of imperialism that has gripped even today to how we worship, even not just how do we live our, how do we breathe our air. And it's a problem in both fronts. One in the practitioners level, but also in the academic front, because how these perceptions are built is in broader academia, like how the scholars teach and how they, from those scholarship come the journalists, come the writers, come practitioners even, and then it becomes generalized. So what happened, Pujitaji, is after coming to the West, very new to these trends because I'm just trained shastrically, and even in Germany, my work has been just to translate and analyze shastras and not really think about all these social flares or events. Um, from the way we used to study in Gurukulas, these are not scholarly matters. These are just some journalism and public political stuff. In Shastras, we deepen our understanding and we explore categories and we have some rational debate. But the way these cultural um, misappropriations and misinterpretations have been like a mainstream in the contemporary society, we cannot ignore as scholars that this also falls under our duty. And yes, I'm writing. One of the things that helped me change the direction, to tell you the fact, was after 2009 publication of my consciousness book. mm, I decided that I am going to write on images, particularly on Kali images, because um, when I say this is wrong, and I have to show them then what is right.
What is right?
And when I tell the students this is just like not the material to read, I have to give them what to read then. And I had to really work hard to find theory, because one imagery of Kali requires a book length conversation that needs tremendous time. We need a lot of scholars to address these things. And yeah, there is a systemic assault in culture, in a global scale, but there needs to be multiple front to address this. And yes, in the popular media too, but also We need a serious scholarship to go deep into Kali practices, Kali traditions, and also as at large, Hindu society also needs to kind of wake up from being just apologists, because most people, I'm blunt about it, most people shy away from like speaking out Kali, for example. Who can you find most devoted to Kali worship than Ramakrishna? And tell me how many of the Vedanta Society temples do actually worship Kali today? And how many Kali statues or images you can actually find in today's like Vedanta Society? So we have, it's just an example, but we have systematically sidelined uh, um, and so we have to have, in my opinion, a broader understanding of bringing the best out there. There's so much of depth in philosophy of Kali. I can go on and on, but I'll come back to this question again
Yes.
because I'll let you address more questions. But yeah, there's so much to talk about, and I cannot have enough time to talk about Kali. But yes, we need to give the proper interpretation too, because we say this is wrong, and then people have the right to ask what is right. Then tell me what is it then. And
So,
also for many Kali people, like Kali worshipping, we are assuming that there is only this Kapalika type, Agori type practices, and this demonization, not it's not been a one way street. Even in Indian popular culture,
mm,
you can see like shaitan tantric worshipping Kali and those kind of things.
yes.
What are we telling to a wider audience is that Kali is dangerous.
Fearsome, yes.
And when people see Kali statues and images in my house, and not the non-practitioners, the practitioners themselves, the Hindus themselves come and frown and, oh, you have Kali here. Is it okay to keep Kali in the house?
Mm.
I'm like, she's my mother. What can I do? Would you just dump her if she's black? It's nuanced and it's layered, and we have to really work from different fronts to address this.
So, Acharya, I mean, I know it's a very vast subject. Just listening to you, I can understand that it's not something that we can tackle in maybe half an hour or 20 minutes. But if I were to just as, if I were to play the role of a common layperson, and I want to ask you, let's say the bloodthirsty image of Kali, or the idea that Kali is bloodthirsty. Now, is that a correct idea? Is that a right idea? Or is there, I mean, how would you counter that?
So the what happened, Pushitaji, is we are stuck to one particular agora image of Kali.
Hmm.
There are many, many Kalis. Like in
Hmm.
the Kashmiri Krama, in one particular wheel of an Akya, there are like 12 Kalis. And let me
Hmm.
give one, the Rakta Kali, for example, red Kali. Or we have in Kathmandu a shrine of Shweta Kali, a white Kali.
White Kali.
And
Oh.
so Kali does not necessarily mean black color just because we are, and that is why number one, we have popularized one particular image, and there are so
Hmm.
many other images. But yes, why blood? Because blood has signified so much of violence, and the blood oozing out blood. We for us, it's a without going to literary theories, without going to metaphor and metonymy, I cannot even start talking about it because the blood here signifies rejection, throwing out of or consuming, dissolving the Rajoguna, and tamas, oozing out, releasing, is also rejecting tamoguna. What is Kali? She is Shuddha Sattvatmika, pure Sattva. Therefore, she rejects, she throws out the black. That is what you see black outside, you see red outside. You do not see white because she is pure Sattva guna. And I'm not. I'm not saying something off my head. I always do some shastra base for everything I say. It has to be based on shastras, and that is how the shastras have interpreted. So because Kali is Shuddha Sattvatvika, she rejects that. But why is there violence depiction? There is violence in the outside world, and that is the mirroring. But she's not violent. She's pure consciousness. Shuddha Chitti. Pure. She is what is Kali then? Kali is pure consciousness. Kali is Parabrahma, Swarupini. So we are not reading those texts, those references. So we are distorting. There is violence in the world, and how can we go from the apparent violence, apparent chaos? The world is chaos. That is what you see in the form of Kali. There is death in the world. That is what you see in the imagery of Kali with the skulls and everything. That is a depiction of death. So there is death, no denying. There is death in the world. There is violence in the world. There is a lot of rajas in the world. Kali is always standing or dancing. There is a lot of dynamism in the world. But then you need to go inward. And within, then you have to read some Kali text, some Krama text, some Mahartha text, and then you will see how Kali is a gradual progression from the externalized field to inner state of the mind to pure consciousness. So, and these imageries are made. There is yet another dimension. When I researched on how the visualization works, the starker, the more graphic, the more bizarre the image, the more it captures the mind. So it was made for people. What is the real image of Kali? Kali doesn't have any real image. She's all the possibilities. She's every single form. Every manifest form is the image of Kali. But why are we focusing on this? So that it sticks to our head so much. Look at Ganesha image. Make a little beautiful, lovely boy, and then we forget. He has Ganesha with the elephant head. We never forget because it has this bizarreness. It has
Yes.
this uh, rarity, like a uniqueness, and then that makes it like a contrast. That gives not even anticipated type black and white contrast. That gives like unexpected kind of contrast, and then our mind cannot even get out of it. That so these imageries were coming in the visualization of the sages, in which they sapped with the mantra, with the experience, and then they are meticulously crafted also in the process of various people meditating upon these and refining their own meditation. Because in my own meditation I may see one image, but then there is a constant refinement. Even in yoga, yogic process is not like a one step realization, it's a constant realizing. And then therefore there has been many refinements in the imagery also. But you can't say why is she black then. That is so racist to even think about it. Like why should gods and goddesses be white? I mean, can we? And then they would even say why images. You are idolater. So shall we just go and defend ourselves accordingly, like become Arya Samaji, and then start saying, oh, image worship is bad, because they say
Idol worship.
yeah, so because they say that it is idolatry, and therefore we should reject all of these. And this is the kind of apologist attitude
Yes. Yes.
that has harmed more. That
More.
we have to be able to embrace what it is, but at the same time we have to be willing to learn to the depth of what we are defending, because otherwise we end up giving a bad impression. Our defense should not be guided by some type of fanaticism to love culture. Our defense should be guided by truth. We have to stick to the truth of the tradition and the shastras, and then defend the culture on that basis, not because we love it, because we have to be open to have a conversation.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.